What's up everybody, Serial Entrepreneur here for another episode on the Digital Marketing School. And in this episode we're going to talk about building audiences for Facebook, alright? So let's just go ahead and jump right in. I know you guys are really interested in this content. So Facebook audiences, we're going to be using Facebook Audience Insights, or this is going to be the topics covered in this episode. Audience Insights, audience targeting in Facebook ads, and that's basically it. We'll show you how to set those up, how to look for audiences, and how to set up the targeting inside the ad itself. Alright, so first and foremost, some prerequisites to this discussion. You should have an understanding of how to build an audience or how to build a customer profile for your particular client or for your business. That's going to be key, because if you're not building an audience for them prior to trying to build a Facebook audience, you don't know who you're really trying to target anyways, right? That's what a customer profile does. It tells you who they are, what they like, how old they are, where they're from, all of this important information. So you're going to want to know that definitely before you even start to get into Facebook audiences. Next is you want to look for looking for niche or target profiles on Facebook or websites that you can find on Facebook, and then being aware of all the potential targeting options Facebook offers. Even I still have to go through and look several times to make sure I'm not missing anything, because there's so many different options that you can choose from on Facebook's ad platform. So I recommend spending a little bit of time just getting familiar with it, understanding what options are available and how you are going to want to best utilize them to build an audience on Facebook. So let's just go ahead and jump right into using Audience Insights. And you're going to come to Facebook Business Manager. Once you're logged in, you're just going to click over here and click Audience Insights. And this is the ad we're going to build later. So once we get into Facebook Audience Insights, when your account is selected, it's going to ask you basically three different options. If you have the Pixel installed, it'll ask you to do a custom audience. And if you don't have the Pixel installed, it'll just say everyone or people connected to your page. That's people who have liked your page. So I would only use this if you have a very large following, just because, you know, a couple hundred people isn't enough to make a page or to give you an audience for a page. So that one I would make sure that the audience is larger, and then everyone on Facebook, that's typically what you're going to start with to get an idea of how large the audience is. That's what I use this for. So I guess let's make that very clear. Audience Insights is just to build an audience, to understand who they are, what their interests are, and to get some more information about your potential customers who are on Facebook, or about your clients' potential customers who are on Facebook. So I select everyone on Facebook. Some quick things to know, or some key things to know. This part's easy. It's the location, the age and gender, and then that's really the easy part right there. So you're going to want to start right here. One quick thing to note: if the customer, say for example, is a salon, right, and they're in Atlanta, are you going to travel 55 miles to go to a salon? Are you even going to travel maybe 25 miles to go to get your hair done? No, not usually. So you want to make sure that the location is very specific, and we'll get into that in the ad itself. We're going to use this example that we're going to look at, but we're going to look at basically what I would do if I were to do it for my digital marketing school, who I would target, what I would look at. Alright, so we're going to do the United States just for this one. Another thing you want to know is when you're building audiences or ads on Facebook, you want to segment out the different, like if you do it by a country, you want to do US as one audience, Canada as one audience, Mexico as one audience. You know, it makes it easier to track which ones are getting you results and which ones aren't. So do a state, do a city, do a region, a country, whatever you need to do there, that will say, or not will say, but if you know where your customers live, that's what you want to put in right there, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Alright, age and gender is very simple. The only thing you want to take note about this is you don't want to do 18 to 65. Oh, we can target everybody. Everybody will buy this. No, that's not how it works. Everybody doesn't buy everything. You need to do what is relatable to your customers. So for me, for this digital marketing group, I usually start with 18 to 22, somewhere in there. Somewhere about 18 to 22 years old, and then I go up to about 42. So we'll do 22 to 42 for this ad. And notice I didn't go further than 20 years. You really don't want to go further than 20 years when you're building these ads, because there's too large of a disparity between people once you get too large of a range. So for example, a 22-year-old has more in common with a 42-year-old than a 52 or 62-year-old. Does that make sense? I'm not saying that they're the exact same. They're not even on the same maturity level. But a 22-year-old is a lot closer to a 42-year-old than to a 52-year-old, 62-year-old. So you don't want to go larger than 20 years, and this is just to get the broad idea of your business, not to get the niche targeted results, okay? So 22 to 42, I would usually do men just for my page, so we'll just say that for me. So we do men. I do an audience for women, but I spend a lot less on women just because my audience is a lot less women. It's way more men. I think I have like 92% men and about 7 to 8% women. So that's how it's going to look right there. This just shows you what their age range is like, who is the largest demographic that would be in this area. Basically is all that's showing you. And then we're going to get into the interest, and this is where it gets interesting and where it starts to get really important that you do it the right way. So we're going to target niche specific again. So a good example is if you think of it like say you're trying to build an ad for a burger restaurant, right? You're trying to target burger customers. The average person comes on here and they go, okay, well, McDonald's sells burgers, Burger King sells burgers, Five Guys sells burgers, and that's not going to sell ads on Facebook. You might hit some people, but that's like most people have probably interacted with Facebook or McDonald's or Burger King in some way on Facebook, just because it's a very, very common restaurant. So that means almost anybody has been to it, right? Not a way to get a niche audience for burgers. So the best way to do that would be to find like a website that's like I Love Burgers, and it's a burger fan page where they just do posts about burgers and stuff like that. That would be a really cool interest to put in there, because you know it's only someone who likes burgers is going to go to a I Love Burger page and like that page. Does that make sense? I don't love burgers enough to go like an I Love Burgers pages, I Love Burgers page, so I can see pictures of burgers. You know, that's not my favorite thing. So that's the key here. So if we're doing my school, I'm going to do guys like Tai Lopez, obviously. I'm going to do Neil Patel. He's an SEO. I'm going to do Moz Marketing. So Moz Marketing, because they are a very niche focused. They only do SEO. If you're not into digital marketing, you won't even know who Moz Marketing is. You will never have heard of them. And even people who are in digital marketing sometimes don't know who Moz is. So that lets you know that is a good niche. It's very, very specific, because they show up here. They wouldn't show up on Facebook if they weren't valuable. Does that make sense? They don't show small audiences here. So I would do digital marketer. Digital marketer, I would do Ryan Dice. Let me see. Oh yeah, Grant Cardone. Gary V. Sorry. Just got over being sick. That's why it's taking me so long to get some of these videos, but I couldn't wait any longer. I was getting antsy. So alright, that's the interest right there. And then from there you're going to want to go into the advanced features. You can do stuff like where they work, what their home is like, market segments, if they have children basically. So if they're parents, that's something you could target. I just like to stick to these right here for this to kind of get an idea. I might go into something like behaviors. So let me see what behaviors we could get. We could do job roles or financial to target if I knew that most of my clients or students aren't making a ton of money yet, which, you know, most of my students aren't making a ton of money yet because a lot of you are younger. You know, that right there, I could target an audience and make it to where I'm targeting younger audiences even further. And I might actually do that when I do my ad breakdown. But for this, I'm just trying to get an idea of how large my audience is and what I'm actually kind of working with when I'm looking at building these ads. So let me make sure I'm not missing anything important. I think that's pretty much good for now. But that's what you're going to want to look at here. You go down here, you just look at some more information about these types of people. You can see their education level. 71% of them usually have gone to college or have some college experience. Most of them are single or in a relationship, or no, most of them are single or married. But this is actually a very low affinity. It shows that most of them aren't married. Compared to the rest of the audience. So this is a really cool thing to look at. And then right here you can see these little pie charts, 55% matched. Kind of gives you a little idea to show you, you know, this is an affinity score basically. This dark blue line, when it's above this little highlighted blue line, that means it's very, very close. So these people are obviously into career building. That would make sense, right? Tai Lopez, Gary V, Grant Cardone, these are all motivational speakers about entrepreneurship basically. So Gives you information about your customers if you didn't know already. The other little cool part is page likes. So you can come down here and see affinity scores. And this shows you how closely related a page is to it, or a like or an interest is to another like or an interest that you've already selected. So Gary B shows up very high. My First Million Mentor Academy. I don't even know what that is, but it's coming up as a very high affinity for this group right here. So if you don't know what it is, I click on it and I go to the business page on Facebook and see what it's about. See if it's something that I should add. See, we got a young guy on here with a Bentley and a Maserati. I think that's a Bentley. I'm not too big on, fancy cars like that, like a lot of people are. I'll have a fancy car, but I'm not going to sit there and froth over him. So we go to about, let's see what he's about. Alright, so about coaching programs designed to deliver marketing strategies and tactics to run a profitable business for entrepreneurs and marketers. So it's about marketing. So this could be something that you would add to your page or to your interest group. He's got 262,000 people who like him. And that's really it. You're just looking for interest groups that you can add. So I might add this to that interest group up here. I could find, let me see, My First Million Mentor. Are you kidding me? It's not going to show it as an interest. My First. And this is why Facebook, they're constantly, this isn't my fault, this is Facebook's fault. They put stuff in here and sometimes it doesn't work. It's because they're constantly changing and constantly growing, trying to make it better. And so they miss some things sometimes. So yeah, this is a very large audience too that I would want to use. He's very close. You can see the rest of Facebook, 247,000, and out of the audiences were selected about 59.6K, which is good. You would want to use that. So, but this is just to show you what this little section can show you. It can give you more ideas about people you should look up. So Eric Thomas, Tim Ferriss, these might be people that I'm interested in or want to set as interests, for my target. Next is going to be your location tab, and it just shows you top cities, top countries, or languages. So you can see right here we have a higher affinity in areas that like Atlanta, Georgia, Orlando. So obviously larger cities are going to have a higher affinity for stuff like this because it's digital, it's technical, or really just, digital. So that has a lot to do. Larger cities typically take on information faster and process information faster. So they typically have a firmer grasp on technology, things like that. So that would make sense as to why these people are doing well in bigger cities. You want to look at activity, and this is just frequency of activity. So if they like pages or posts, if they share pages or posts, and then what types of devices they're using. You can see there's a high affinity for iPhone users, very, very high affinity here. See, Android doesn't actually have a very high affinity at all. So that might be something you could target. You could target straight up iPhone users as an interest if you wanted to. You have household information, which is right here. It just shows what their household is like, how much money they make, or what they tend to make, what their household size tends to be. So it looks like most of these people are single. So you could actually segment out single people as an audience to see if that's going to sell better. Excuse me. Home market value. I know I sound awful, right? Home market value is going to show you, what their home is worth, and it looks like the average person here has a higher affinity, goes to around the $200 to $500. What is that? Oh, it's in thousands. I was like, $200, $500. What is that, rent? No, it's in thousands of dollars. Okay, so yeah, this is showing a higher affinity here. You have spending methods, so whether they're paying with card, cash, check, whatever they pay with. These aren't as important as the likes and the demographic information and location. These last three are less important, that's why they're at the end. But I do like to look at them to get an idea of what this customer really is like. It helps you build that customer profile. So when you're building your customer profile, you can go in here and start adding some of these interests in to start getting some more ideas. But that's basically it. You can save these audiences if you like it. I don't usually like to save them here because you can get a better picture over in Ads Manager. Maybe it's just because I've always built them in Ads Manager and saved them there before they ever had this Audience Insights tool. So I'm just used to doing it that way. Maybe I'm old school. If you find this way to be more effective for you, fine, do that. And then you could click Create Ad. Excuse me. Alright, so we're going to go into, where is it? Ads Manager, and we're going to actually look at creating an ad. So we're done with this audience. Again, you can save it if you want. And then we're going to create an ad. Alright, key thing right here, we're going to start over. Key thing to do is know what type of post you're doing. We'll go into that more in the actual ad manager or ad builder video, Facebook ads builder video that I'm going to do. We'll do post engagement for this one. Just keep things moving forward. Alright, real quickly, this is where you start basically like we were at over there. So you're going to set your location, you're going to set your age range. We'll do 22 to 42. There it is. Alright, we're going to do men. And then we're going to start with our interests. Yeah, everything here is good. You can always do a custom audience if you have those built. We'll go into that in a different video, just because those are completely different. Custom audiences and lookalikes, that's a whole other type of topic that we'll discuss when we get more into the Facebook Pixel and building your tiered ads. All right, so we're going to put in our interests. Gary Vee, Ty Lopez, Grant Cardone, Russell Brunson's a good one, Ryan Dice. Alright, then we're going to need to start typing some, obviously. Digital marketer. Digital marketer. What was the other one? Moz. Alright, we'll start with that. Alright, so this is what I like to do. This is kind of how I like to break down my targeting. I like to go for the pages or public figures first, things that people are already going to know, so businesses, public figures, things like that. That'll be my initial target group to see how large of an audience I can get. So this is going to have the best targeting right here. Then we need to narrow this audience more, because one point I could actually send this out, and actually I would, to see what kind of traction I'd get. I'd spend like $5 maybe, but I would send out an audience to this, or I would send out an ad to this audience and get some traffic to my site, get some traffic to my Pixel, and see what kind of data I can collect. But once I do that, I would actually probably do another $5 ad, and I would target even further. So when you click, let me actually close this out. There's two options here, exclude or narrow audience. You can exclude people if you don't want a specific interest group being in this ad. But most people actually choose to narrow the audience, and this is where you're going to do more interest. So this is where you get into behaviors, demographic information, interests outside of this that are still their interests that would be related. So I'll just show you. So basically we're going to do digital marketing. Alright, that's an interest in itself. We should show social media. Alright, that's an interest. We can do, let's see if SMMA, because people typed, okay good, that's not an interest, it shouldn't be. What else was I going to do? You can do email marketing. We'll do Facebook for Business, because you're not going to be using that if you're not in Facebook for Business. Ooh, Facebook admin, page admins. Those are people who are running Facebook business pages. You can see these are behaviors, more interests. There's a bunch of different stuff. If you're doing something for an online store, you can target people who shop online or have purchased online. There's all kinds of stuff that you can do for this kind of advertisement, but you need to make sure that you're not segmenting it too far or leaving it too open. Does that make sense? You don't want to go too specific and you don't want to go too broad, because you're not going to target the right. Not never, that's a double negative. It's not always a terrible idea to do specific or broad, but broad usually I do when testing. Specific I'll do if I want to see if it's even worth my time to go into. And I'll only spend a little bit when I do those types of ads. You really want it to be like right here in the middle or somewhere around this range. Alright? So that's basically it though. I mean, you're really just trying to figure out how to target an audience. And for me, since I can target in the whole entire US with this, 1 million is very good. For you guys who are targeting locally, you're going to want to try audiences like, you want to, number one, look at the area itself. If you live in an area that has a total population of 20,000 people and you build an audience and it targets all 20,000 people, what do you really think the chances are that all 20,000 people are going to buy that product or check out that service? Probably not. You're probably not targeting far enough. So you're spending a lot of money advertising to people who aren't going to care about your product or service. Make sure that it's something that is going to be beneficial to the people that you're targeting to, and that you're not wasting money. So that's basically it though. Excuse me. You just want to come in here, you want to create the ad, and you want to make it specific, and then you have to test. There's 2 stages, and we'll go into that in the actual Facebook ad manager or ad video that I'm going to do, where I show you how to build Facebook ads right in here. But really you have to make sure that you're doing these audiences properly, and you have to make sure that you're not going to leave anybody out or include people who aren't going to be beneficial for this audience. But that, I mean, like I said, this is it. It's not any more complicated than that. I think I was about to say there's a 2-part system really. This is the ad that it would look like this when you're doing testing, when you're in the very beginning stages of doing ads. So when you take on a new customer, you don't just want to go out and start running ads. That doesn't ever work. You want to do some testing, figure out who the audience is, who's going to work best, what interests work best, what demographics work best. And then once you do the testing, you get some data back through your backend. The backend Facebook actually gives you all of these analytics that you can look at to see who was engaging with the post, who was interested in this, who did it work well with, and then you break those ads down and target further and segment further. So real quick, just to go back into kind of do a recap, some pro tips. All right, don't create audiences that are too broad or specific. So 18 to 65 is way too broad. 20 to 21 is way too specific. Make sure that all interests have some sort of relation to each other. They shouldn't just be sporadic and have no relation whatsoever. The location needs to also be as specific as possible. Remember back to that salon example where I'm not going to travel 45 minutes to go get my haircut. I might travel 10 to 20 at the most, and it might be 5 to 10 miles. So you need to keep in mind who the customer is that you're trying to target. Where are they at? What kind of services that they're going to be buying? If it's a restaurant, and say it's not like a super fancy restaurant, like it's just a mediocre type, mom and pop shop, I'm not going to drive 45 minutes to go to that restaurant unless it's like well known and everybody eats there and it's like the little hole in the wall that everybody loves. I'm not trying that out. So you have to understand where they are, where they live, and then if they're even going to travel to get to that distance. All right. Use the page like section to see other interests viewers might have. A pro tip, the more niche specific your initial interests are, the better results you will see in that like section. So if I were to just use Digital Marketer, Moz, and other websites that are just like that, because there's tons of them out there that I could probably pull from, that's going to get you a really good result right there, and it's going to show you some other people that you could possibly add with high affinity scores. And then the last thing, we went through the Facebook ad itself. The main thing you want to understand is you're going to be narrowing or excluding audiences to segment further. And that's really it, to make sure that your audience isn't way too big or way too small. So that's it for these. Again, if you guys have any questions or concerns, just leave them in the comments section below. I really hope that this video was helpful for you in creating Facebook audiences. So stay tuned. Again, you're going to want to check out the building audiences and customer profiles video. That's going to help you get an idea of who your audience is even more. And then the Facebook ads video is coming soon too, or coming very, very shortly after this. So you guys can actually check that out and see how this incorporates into building the Facebook ad. So for now, I'm going to get out of here and shoot some more video, but for this very moment, Serial Entrepreneur out.